Today is about service. And the question I pose before you is, well, not how many TikTok videos you have done due to boredom. Today is about what makes you tick. Before we move further into this discussion, let us look back to last week's forum. We began last week with a topic on faith. Brother Mike inspired us all with the words of the founder and also with his own valuable insights. Let us review what he said as we watch this.
We begin at a very good Lasallian foundation, and that is we talk about faith. What does this mean for us Lasallians, especially at this time? The spirit of this Lasallian community is first the spirit of faith. How do we talk about faith to people, to fellow Lasallians? Well, I'd like to break it down into 3 points. The first being faith in myself. The next, faith in others. And then faith in God as I understand God. Make no distinction between the duties of your profession and those that refer to your salvation and perfection. When I pursue this higher purpose in life, I am working out my salvation. I am working out my actualization. I'm working out my becoming a whole human being.
I will be connecting some of Brother Mike's points with my insights today, particularly about finding creative ways to serve during this time of home quarantine for a good number of our lead countries. Some of us might have difficulty thinking about how to serve at this time when we are generally under house arrest, especially if we are not frontliners. How are we to serve if we are stuck at home? I'll give you a hint to answer that. There is something more to Lasallian service that is broader than going out of the house to serve the poor face to face. But before we go into that, let us be reminded about where the call to serve is rooted. Lasallian service is an expression of our faith. Recall that Brother Mike in his keynote said that faith is why we do the things we do. We serve because each one of us have gifts that can benefit others and therefore make a difference in this world. Personal growth can only happen when you share your giftedness. Serving just by yourself alone is okay, but what more if you do it as a group or as a community? This will show that you believe that others also possess gifts, most often gifts that you do not have. By serving as a community, we also show that we believe others can make a difference. We can talk about the power of community now, but let's reserve that topic for the next 2 Thursdays. Lasallian service also cuts across the dividing distinctions of our faith in God, brought about by the religious culture where we were born into, or the religion we choose later in life. This is the great thing about Lasallian service. It is non-denominational. It is inclusive. In many ways, today's global health crisis has some positive effects on the human race. It is giving everyone a chance to take a time out to reflect on life. Here in Hong Kong, we are already on our 90 plus days of self-directed retreat. I'm so glad it is not a silent one. Let me adopt the term that Singapore used for its own quarantine period, the circuit breaker. Those of us in the Philippines should have used this term instead of fortified and enhanced extended general community quarantine. Well, kidding aside, this circuit breaker has given all of us a chance to breathe fresh air, literally because there is less air pollution. It allows us to breathe so that we can take stock of the essentials questions in life. What gives me meaning, purpose, and joy in my life? Well, only last week, I got an FB message from a college volleyball athlete who said, quote, "This quarantine has led me to think a lot lately about my life's purpose. I think serving others is what will make me feel joyful. I want to join aid giving groups because I want to see the happy faces of people receiving the relief goods. If I get invited to a sports clinic in the future, even if I get tired at the end of the day, it will be all worth it." In our search for the answers of life's essential questions, I believe this global health crisis has made us much closer to our computer screens. And yes, of course, closer to our families too. I believe that this is the longest period ever where your parents know where you are. Well, let me go back to our being closer in terms of distance wise to your computer screen. Most often, it is your only connection to the outside world. Each morning, when feelings of anxiety do not attack you, well, you would go to your screens and read the updates and news regarding the epidemic. What if God or the whole universe was conspiring to give you hints about the answers through the computer screens? How can that happen when all we see on the screens and the news are not easy to take about possible second or third wave of the virus, more people dying, possible extension of quarantine, or frontliners getting sick? Discomforting, yes. It is with a similar discomfort that our founder, Saint John Baptist de La Salle, was deeply moved. He was moved when he saw the situation of the poor boys in France during his lifetime. These life-changing encounters that De La Salle had with the poor is so important in the history of the LaSalle brothers that it makes up the very first line of the very first chapter of the Rule of the Brothers of the Christian School, which is entitled "The Purpose and the Spirit of the Institute." Deeply moved by the human and spiritual distress of the children of the artisans and of the poor, and in response to the call of God, John Baptist de La Salle and his first brothers made a lifelong commitment to God to provide these children with a human and Christian education and so extend the glory of God on earth. So I ask you, what does your computer screen say to you today? How do the bad news and sometimes the good news challenge you to reflect on life and be moved to serve? To illustrate my point, I would like you to watch this video inspired by the Franciscan fourfold blessing.
May God bless you with discomfort. Discomfort at easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships, so that you may live deep within your heart. May God bless you with anger. Anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that you may work for justice, freedom, and peace. May God bless you with tears. Tears to shed for those who suffer from pain, rejection, starvation, and war, so that you may reach out your hand to comfort them and turn their pain into joy. May God bless you with foolishness. Enough foolishness to believe that you can make a difference in this world. So that you can do what others claim cannot be done.
Discomfort, anger, and tears. The first three of the fourfold blessing. These are common feelings during a quarantine. Discomfort because you cannot go out to get a haircut or a massage. Anger because other people are not following the social distancing rules or politicians are stealing the money meant for relief. Tears because we may have lost a loved one or your family's business or been laid off from work for being a non-essential worker. Yet these discomforts, anger and tears are not ours alone. They too are felt by other people who are into situations much worse than ours. That is why we still need to serve others. That is why we are called to serve. We can still make a difference. The question is, how now? We need to respond to this present epidemic distress in creative ways. We can make a difference no matter how small. Like foolishness, the fourth gift of the fourfold blessing, we have been given the gift to believe that we can make a difference in this world so that you can do what others claim cannot be done. My perfect example is the recent online creation of Brother Martin Sellner, FSC. He's an American brother who is now based in Manila. His TikTok video has become epidemic-like. I know the reason behind this foolishness. He is willing to go beyond his comfort zone so that he can reach out to his students in De La Salle Sobel and in De La Salle Araneta University. Just like how Pope Francis shared online his apostolic blessing called Urbe et Orbi. Brother Martin wants his students to know that he constantly have their well-being in his mind, and he sends his virtual hugs and blessings online. Let us watch this edifying foolishness. Over 5,000 likes as of now, and more than 2,000 shares. Wow. Well, my input is not necessarily a recommendation for you to use TikTok. There are other creative ways to serve. For me, being part of the organizing committee for this weekly program is my way of serving. I somewhat volunteered myself into this because I was not part of the original group that developed this idea. Foolishness for me because I also did the other videos and audio content of this weekly program, which I used to rely on a big communications office in De La Salle College of St. Benilde before. Now, I have to learn to do these by myself. As we come to the end of this video presentation, I bring you back to the theme and guiding question for this week. Service. What makes you tick? In other words, how are you deeply moved by the present distress of the world? Or what creative ways of service to the last, the least, and the lost can you suggest to other Lasallians in this forum? I share the same prayer that Brother Mike said last week. May we all find greater meaning, greater purpose, greater joy as we serve the Lasallian mission.